The first time I rolled on the throttle, I immediately understood what this bike is about. It does not feel like a bicycle that happens to have a motor. It feels like a compact electric dirt bike that just happens to have pedals sitting there if you want them. This is the Tuttio ICT Peak 4,000-watt electric dirt bike with 20-inch fat tires, and the way I would describe it is simple. It lives right in that middle zone between a high-power electric bicycle and a small motorcycle. It is best for someone like me who wants fast, practical transportation that can handle broken pavement, dirt, gravel, and sandy patches without feeling fragile. It is also for heavier riders or anyone who wants strong acceleration without having to work for it. If you are looking for something light, easy to carry upstairs, or something that feels nimble like a normal bicycle, this is not that type of ride. In person, the design is what sells the whole vibe. The frame looks and feels like it was meant to be ridden hard. The body has that matte black look with bright accents that catch light when you move, and the battery sits up top where a gas tank would be, which makes it look like a real mini moto. The seat height lands in a comfortable spot for me, and at stops I can put my feet down without doing that awkward tiptoe balance. That matters a lot in daily riding, especially when you are dealing with stop signs, traffic lights, or uneven trail entrances. The handlebars are wide, and the grips feel secure even when my hands are a little sweaty. The display is right where I want it, up front and easy to glance at without taking my eyes off the path for long. I used it mostly for speed and battery level, and I liked that it did not feel buried or hard to read. The bike has a lot of presence, and I notice people staring at it more than they do with a typical electric bicycle. Some of that is the chunky tires, and some of it is just the overall silhouette. It looks ready for dirt even when it is parked. Getting it ready to ride was straightforward, and after the first basic check, I was out riding without needing to babysit it. What stood out immediately was throttle response. The motor is rated at 2,000 watts nominal with a peak output up to 4,000 watts, and that difference is not just a marketing line. You feel it the moment you leave a stop. The torque is rated at 170 Newton meters, and that is the kind of torque that can surprise you if you treat it like a casual commuter electric bicycle. On my first ride, I gave it too much throttle leaving my driveway, and the front end got light enough to make me rethink my life choices for a second. It was not scary in a dangerous way, but it was a very clear reminder that this is a machine you need to respect. After that, I eased into it, and within a couple rides I had the muscle memory. Once you adapt, it becomes addictive in a practical way because it makes merging, climbing, and quick getaways from intersections feel effortless. The battery on this bike is a 60-volt, 25-amp-hour lithium pack, roughly 1,500 watt-hours. In real use, what I cared about was whether it could cover my routine without anxiety. Riding mostly on throttle, no pedaling, I got around 34 miles on a charge, and that was with me riding it like I meant it, spending a lot of time in medium to higher speeds. If you actually use pedal assist and keep it calm, I can see how someone could stretch it toward the longer range claims. But my reality is that I use the throttle a lot because that is the point of owning something like this. Charging with the included charger is slow. For me, an overnight charge was normal, and from nearly empty it took around 8 to 10 hours. I did try a faster 5-amp charger, and it made the bike fit my schedule better, bringing charging time down to around 4 hours. I'm not saying you need a faster charger on day one, but if you ride frequently, it changes the experience. It turns the bike into something you can top off between errands instead of something you have to plan around. Where this bike really earns its keep is the way it rides over mixed terrain. Those 20-inch by 4-inch fat tires are not a style choice. They give you a wide, forgiving contact patch that keeps the bike stable on loose surfaces. I took it onto dirt trails, gravel, and some sandy sections where a normal tire would hunt for traction. I did not feel that nervous, sketchy side-to-side slip that I usually expect on softer ground. It tracked straight, and when the rear did move, it felt predictable. Suspension is a big part of that confidence. Up front there is an inverted fork, and in the back there is an adjustable air shock. On rough trails, the bike takes the edge off bumps that would normally rattle your teeth, and in the city it makes curb hops and broken pavement feel less punishing. I rode over sections of road that are basically patchwork, and I was not getting that constant harsh vibration through my arms and lower back. It is still a stiff, solid bike, but it is not the kind of stiff that beats you up. Braking is another area where it feels more like a moto than a casual electric bicycle. You get 4-piston hydraulic disc brakes front and rear, and they bite hard. The first couple rides, I had to recalibrate my hands because a light pull gives you real stopping power. Once I adjusted, I appreciated it because this bike can move, and when something pulls out in front of you, you want brakes that do not hesitate. The only caution is that if you grab too much brake on loose dirt, you can lock it up. That is not the bike being bad, that is just physics, so you have to learn modulation. Night riding was better than I expected. The headlight throws a wide beam, and it lit up the road far enough ahead that I felt comfortable at speed. I would estimate it gave me useful visibility out to around 30 meters. And that matters because this bike can carry speed in a way that demands you see obstacles early. The tail light also works as a brake light, and I like that because it communicates to cars and other riders behind you that you are slowing down. Speaking of speed, I have had it a little over 42 miles per hour on a longer open stretch, and stability at speed is one of its strengths. The weight helps here. The bike is about 88 pounds, which is absolutely not fun if you need to lift it onto a rack or carry it upstairs. But on the road and on rough terrain, that heft makes it feel planted. It does not get twitchy. It does not feel like it is getting pushed around by every little bump. That same weight shows up on the other side of the experience too. Low-speed handling can feel sluggish, especially in tight turns or narrow paths where you are weaving. The wide bar helps you leverage it, but you have to ride it with intention. If your route includes narrow bike paths packed with pedestrians and tight corners, you will notice that it is not as flickable as a normal bicycle. Ride modes are useful depending on how you want to ride. I spent most of my time in pure electric with throttle because it is the most natural fit for how the bike feels. Pedal assist has multiple levels, and in the lowest settings it is actually pretty pleasant. It smooths out starts and takes the sting out of hills without feeling like it is trying to throw you forward. There is also a mode where you are basically pedaling a very heavy machine, and I will be honest, I did not use that much because this bike is not something I want to pedal without help. One detail I noticed is that the stock throttle and controller tuning can feel twitchy. There is not a lot of gentle roll between nothing and go. After I got used to it, I could manage it, but it still made slow cruising on shared paths a little harder than it needed to be. I eventually switched to a programmable controller so I could smooth out the throttle curve, and that transformed the low-speed experience. If you are the kind of person who likes to tinker, the platform seems friendly to upgrades. If you are not, you can still ride it stock. Just give yourself time to adapt and start in a lower power setting until your hands learn it. For real-world testing, I used it as a commuter for a 10-mile round trip, mixing bike paths with a couple side roads. It handled pavement easily, and it felt like it really woke up when the route turned rough. I also took it out on gravel hills and loose sand, and it kept traction better than I expected for something in this size. Over a couple weeks of riding, I did not run into overheating, weird noises, or random power cutouts. Maintenance was basic. I wiped the chain, checked tire pressure, and that was about it. One specific use case where it made a big difference for me was running errands across town without wanting to take a car. I could leave, hit a mix of roads and shortcuts, roll over bad pavement without slowing down much, and still have enough battery to not think about it. The only practical limitation is storage and lifting. If you live in a small apartment, this is not something you casually carry inside every day. If you have a garage or a spot to park and charge, it fits the lifestyle a lot better. The smart part of this bike is not some fancy app feature. It is the combination of fat tires, real suspension, strong brakes, and a battery that delivers usable miles even when you ride it aggressively. It is a simple recipe, but when it is done right, it feels cohesive. So here is where I land. If you want a compact electric dirt bike style ride that feels strong off the line, stable at speed, and capable on mixed terrain, this is a solid option. It makes sense for commuters who want speed with comfort, for riders who hit dirt and gravel regularly, and for anyone who wants that mini moto feel without going full motorcycle. If you need something light, subtle, or easy to carry upstairs, this is going to be a frustrating choice. You also need to respect the throttle and give yourself a few rides to build confidence, because the torque is real and the brakes are powerful. You can view detailed information about the Tuttio ICT Peak 4000W electric dirt bike 20 fat tire in the comments section. Thank you for watching.